Hello and welcome back to Jimbo's PC Builds. Today I'm going to do another case review. Today I'm going to review a case from a brand called Segotep, and I'm probably completely butchering that brand name. I'd never heard of them before until a viewer actually sent in a comment said I should look at the case. He actually said I should look at the Phoenix G5. Now when I contacted Segotep, they told me that that wasn't a case that they sold in the US. What I managed to track down was it's actually called the Segotep Typhon in the US. So it's the same case. So if you come in here looking for the review of the Typhon thinking where's the Phoenix, it's exactly the same case. So I'm going to do what I always do with a case review. I'm going to do a walkthrough of the case. Then I'm going to do a build in the case and give you my thoughts and conclusion. All right, without further ado, let's have a walk through the case. So the case is a little bit different to the ones I've reviewed previously. It's got a glass side panel, which has got captive screws, which is nice. They come off at the side and then it slides away like so, like an old-fashioned back panel. Now this is where the case starts to be very much different than others. It's not got a roof to any basement for the PSU. The PSU goes in the traditional point here, but the layout of the case is very different. The point where the I/O is at the top. So the motherboard comes this way and the GPU goes that way, which is very different to what you'd get in a normal case. What I'm interested to see once I do the build in this is to see the airflow, because, and by the way, there's no fans included with this case. It comes for about $75. So it's not that expensive, but you can get other cases that for that price that do include fans. So that's a little bit of a negative. So this is the layout of the inside of the case. So the top comes off to reveal where the motherboard I/O will be, and also the ports for the graphics card. Then over here there's a grommet where all the cables pass through. So once you've done the install, connected all your cables, you then basically hook up the top panel again and all the cables will come out the back. At the back here there's room for what looks like to be only 120 fans, and I think you might be able to get 2 in maximum. I'm not sure if they're 120s, it looks quite small. So I'll check that as part of the build and let you know. At the front there's enough space for 3 fans. Now you can install them inside the case or with a bit of heave, you can take the front panel off. The front panel has got a mesh on the front, similar to a lot of the cases now. There is a secondary filter, but nicely it's actually held on by a magnet, and it's a door that literally hinges and comes off. So if you're going to install fans on the inside, on the outside rather than the inside of the case, you would need to remove the filter, and there is enough room to be able to screw them in and then put the panel back on. So you put the back on like that, and then the front panel simply just attaches. If you get it the right way up. Okay, top I/O, nothing special. You've got your microphone, your headphone jack, your USBs, your power button, and a HD LED. So the back panel comes off again with captured screws. You've got your standard front connectors which go in there. You've got a cage for only 1 hard drive, but you've got mounting spots for 2 SSDs. So really the talking point of this case is the different motherboard layout. I'm very curious to see how airflow goes through it. So the build I'm going to put in it, I'm going to put 2 fans at the front. I'm also going to have fans on the AIO, and I'm going to see if I can get an extra fan for outtake on the back. So without further ado, let's have a look at the parts that I'm going to put in the build. So the CPU I'm going to put in the build is a Ryzen 5 5600X, and the motherboard I'm going to use is an MSI MPG X570 Gaming Edge Wi-Fi. Not a brand new motherboard, but it's still pretty decent. Memory I'm going to put in is a Crucial Ballistix memory. A Crucial BX500 1TB hard drive, and the Micro Center Inland brand, which is their in-house 500 gig hard drive, which will be used for a boot drive. I'm also going to put in it, and this is the creme de la creme, as they're always hard to get a hold of, the RTX 3060 Ti. It's the EVGA XC variety of. For cooling, I'm going to go with a Corsair H100i Pro, and as a power supply, I'm going to go with an EVGA 750 watt power supply. Alright, so they're the parts I'm going to put in it. Let's get to the build, and then I'll give you my final conclusion. So I've completed the build in the Segotep Typhon right behind me. couple of things to mention about the case. One of the things that really concerns me right now is, while it looks really cool with the inverted layout like this and it looks really nice, I've got 3 fans at the front and I've got a radiator with 2 fans at the back. That graphics card is going to block a lot of the air coming in. It's a nice mesh panel on the front which is going to get plenty of air through, but a lot of it's going to hit the graphics card and not make it through the radiator. There is the filter on top where some air is going to come through, and these fans are going to be able to pull some of that air, but it would have been much nicer if these fans would have come through. I think as a case it would have been much better if they'd done something a little bit different. Maybe moved the power supply from below, maybe moved it to the front and had fans on the bottom and fans on the top, or you know, at least outtake fan here, and then you could put 3 fans and a radiator at the bottom. Then that would have pulled in the air, and natural convection would have helped that air move towards the top, and it would have escaped the case. Then you can make the front solid and do something nice with it, whatever you want to do. I think that might have been a better approach. The other thing that really stood out about the case is cable management is not easy. Around the motherboard is fine. The problem that you've got is you can see at the front there, a lot of the cables that come to the bottom of the motherboard, like USB, etc., they're really close to the fans. I'm really worried that they're going to hit the fan at some point. They shouldn't do. I've tried my best to make sure they won't, but it really made my life a little bit difficult. Also, you've got this panel here, but the basement for the PSU isn't solid. So you push any cables in, and they just come straight out and come visible in the glass. So you've got to really work hard that any cables that you bunch, they've got to put down the bottom, trying to keep them out of view, and that was quite difficult. The other thing that you've got to worry about is, because this is such an open space, you've also got to keep the cables back, because they've got a fan at the front down there to help airflow come in. Again, when you're trying to push the cables in, you've really got to bunch them and tie them up well, because otherwise they can start making their way towards that fan, and there's nothing for you basically to tie the cables to at the bottom. So they're basically, you've got to try your best to, there's like, there was a drive cage which I've tried to manage to zip tie some of the cables to it to stop them moving. But that was, you know, I had to do that in a certain way, and it was a real pain in the ass, because I had to use I had to basically tie the cables together. Then I had to zip tie that zip tie to the drive cage using a very small zip tie. A real pain in the ass. So all in all, the thoughts on the case. $75. You don't get any fans. The airflow is compromised because of the graphics card being in the way. It's got plenty of scope for fan, and it looks really cool, and looks wise it's great. Build quality, it's okay, but not that great. I would just say for $75, I think you could probably get better cases out there. The likes of the NZXT, well, I think it's one of the early 5 series cases you can pick up for around that type of money. It includes fans already. What you're basically paying for $75 is this cool look factor. And is it worth it? Well, if you like the look, then yeah. And if you're good at cable management and you can manage your way around, you know, yeah, okay, it might be worth it. But for me personally, I'd have to say it's a no, unfortunately. All right, I hope you found that information useful. Please don't forget to toss a like on the video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you may, because I'm still trying to hit them glorious 1,000. I'm getting very close now. I'm getting towards within 250. So if you could please subscribe, that'd be most welcome. If you've got any comments on the case, if you've got any questions, please comment in the section down below. And as always, take care.